In the next 10 minutes, you will learn how to code not only this, but also anything your imagination can handle using processing. Processing is a Java graphics library that allows you to display your graphics easy and fast. First, download the processing latest version at their website. When you open processing, this window will appear. Processing has two basic functions. Setup runs once at the beginning. Here we can make a window. We will have to specify the width and the height in pixels. Then, to run our code, we can hit this play button. For this example, we will go 800 by 800. Next, we can change the background color. Processing uses the RGB system. We have to give values to red, green and blue, ranging from 0 to 255. For this example, we will choose a dark gray color. The draw function runs 60 times every second. It's like a loop. We can draw an ellipse by giving it some coordinates, a width and a height. The coordinate system is pretty simple too. Let's draw a circle by making the width and the height the same value. With fill, we can tell processing what color to draw in. To get rid of the outline, we will say no stroke. Let's do something. We will create a counter and initialize it at 0. Then, every time draw gets called, we can increase the counter. We can see this is working by using the print line and checking our console. Now, instead of simply coloring our circle blue, we will use the counter. The problem is that when the counter reaches 255, it keeps going, and we get stuck with this blue color. So let's do something. If the counter is greater than 255, the counter resets to 0. As you can see, this works fine. We can even tweak a couple of things to make it more interesting or increase the counter by 2 to make it faster. Now, what if we create some variables x and y for position, c for color and r for radius? To paint our circle, draw an ellipse at its position with its radius and don't forget to fill it with our color. Now, the reason this doesn't work is that we have to tell processing what values our variables have. Now, let's make the circle react to the mouse. By using the dist command, we can store the distance between the position and our mouse in the d variable. Then, if the distance is less than 100, we can increase the x coordinate of the circle. To avoid every frame being drawn on top of the previous one, we set a background color every time. Now, to make the movement a bit more chaotic, we can use the random function that returns a random number between the two given. But what if we wanted 2, 3 or even 100 circles? Each circle has an xy coordinate, radius and color. We could make new variables for each, but there is a better way. Arrays are like lines that store different values, so instead of having 50 different x variables, we can create x as an array that store 50 different values. We can then access any value in the array by using an index. For example, circle 1 would correspond to index 0, circle 2 to index 1, and so on. We can turn our variables into arrays like this. Then we have to say what the size of our arrays is. Let's start with 10 balls. Tip: To make it easier to change the number of balls in the future, use a variable. Next, we will have to give every index in the array an initial value, so we use a loop. Basically, we start a variable called I at 0. Then we run some code, and at the end we increment I. We keep doing that and I keeps incrementing until I equals 10. Then the condition isn't met, so we stop. Inside this loop, we assign every circle a random position, a random radius, and for now, any color. Then, in draw, we have to draw and shake our ellipses. For every circle, we draw an ellipse at its coordinates. Then calculate the distance from his position to the mouse. And if it is less than 100, shake the circle. We also fill our circle with its color. Nice, now everything is working, we can tweak a few variables. Instead of just randomly coloring our circles, let's color them based on their position. Add a couple of circles to check this works fine, but after position 255, all circles are the same color. To fix that, we can map the position that goes between 0 and width to go between 0 and 255. We will also assign a random green value. One last trick, you can set the fourth component for the color, that is like the transparency, to make the circles a bit translucent. Just by tuning a few values, we get this. Don't stop here, go creative. For example, we can make bigger circles shake less just by adding this line here. Or you could make the colors change over time with this simple line. Blur the screen when the mouse is pressed. Or stop resetting the background when the mouse is pressed. And all kinds of crazy stuff. The sky is the limit. That being said, don't expect to become a pro genius in one day. This is a game of practice, and the more you practice, the better you will get at exteriorizing your ideas into a sketch. I myself got inspired by this, and I am going to make a sound visualizer based on this idea. But that is for the next video, so subscribe to make sure you don't miss it. See you then.